Good morning, everyone. This is Allison from Happily Homeless's Moonstruck, and I'm still at the opera camp at Opera in the Ozarks in Arkansas. But it really is drawing down this Saturday and then next Saturday, and then sometime that week I'll be leaving. So thought I'd just touch base because it is very slowed down. I'm doing some work this morning. It's kind of hodgepodge, but the grass isn't quite high enough to mow, and because the sun has just been so intense. Good morning, Lori. The sun has been so intense, but there is a music camp here with some kids and for vocals, and they're giving a performance this afternoon, so I'm going to go around and just neaten up everything in the public areas, do trimming where I see it's needed, and I'd almost like to mow this huge field that I've talked about before because there's no cars parked in it. And when the opera students are here, it's always a difficulty getting all of the students to move their cars so I can just kind of freewheel around and do my job very quickly and efficiently. So now there's no cars, so even though it doesn't need mowing, I'm tempted to just get the damn John Deere tractor and just, I don't know, I could do wheelies up here if I wanted to at this point. So, good morning, Nora. So, I don't know, we'll see how it goes. The humidity is down today, and it's only going to get to 85, which feels terribly mild compared to what it has been, especially with the humidity. God, the humidity has just been sucking the life out of everything. It makes it hard to move. So yeah, 85 seems just kind of mild. So we'll see, but I need to get folding chairs that we've been using throughout the summer for the opera talks. I need to get those all put away, stored away. And there's a lot to do, and much of it can't really be done right now because of the other students being here. And then Sunday, another group will come in. There will be a few more students here, still not that many compared to what has been. So we're kind of limited because things are still being used. But anyways, so let me see, this week I got my partial. I went to the dentist and had my partial put in. And I got the one with the plastic that wraps around the other teeth for an anchor with plastic rather than with metal, because I could not, well, I just did not want any kind of metal in my mouth. So I got the plastic kind of, it's like a retainer type of thing. And it's not so bad. It's pretty comfortable and all of that. And I know I'll get more used to it. And really, you know, as emotional as that day was, and I was just falling apart constantly. And it wasn't the tooth per se. You know, many of you will understand that. It was the realization, because that was trauma to my body, you know, having it pulled, even though the dentist did such an amazing job. It was a realization that from here on out, health decisions, anything having to do with my physicality, you know, all those decisions are on me, and going through them, it's on me, you know, that Chuck won't be around. And I had a friend recently who went through that. Some major surgery, and you know, she's widowed, and just, you know, all the prep for the surgery and then afterwards, and you know, she has kids, you know, and bless them, you know, bless the kids who are willing to step up and help. But it's still, you know, there's still that realization of your person isn't there to help take care of you and to drive you there, and you know, just make sure you're okay in a way. You know, they care in a way that nobody else really does. And same way you care for them. Well, at least hopefully it's that way. I realize that there's many marriages where people couldn't give two shits about one another. And I honestly don't understand why they stay in a marriage, but hey, that's on them. You know, if it's like that and they navigate that. Hey, Elaine. So, but certainly for me, you know, the few times that I had anything going on, Chuck was always the one who was there to drive me and get me back and, you know, bring me I don't know, ginger ale, Diet Pepsi. He used to be so good at, when I was recovering from things like the flu, he'd wait until I was just, well enough so I could start eating something, and then he'd walk in the room with a Diet Pepsi and chocolate, a chocolate bar. He even did that when we were in New Jersey he was going through radiation, prepping for his, to get the tumor, Wilson, small enough to at least make it stop growing and then maybe shrink it a little bit so he could go through his first surgery. And the radiation was really intense, especially in the second bout where he had to get it twice a day. And they just upped it by like 100% to try to stop the growth. And so he started feeling the effects of it, which was tiredness, exhaustion, really. It just sapped so much from his body and made his body go haywire. And he came back from a long day in Philly. His friend Bruce would go with him, and they'd ride the train. And he came back and he walked in the door and he had a Diet Pepsi for me and a chocolate bar, like I was the one who was going through all the shit. But that was one of the nice things about Chuck and me together, is that even though the one may have been going through something physical, and having so much going on there, we were always so aware of the emotions of the other, and as a caregiver. And good morning, Mark. And we cared for each other in that way, and nurtured each other, and had an awareness of each other, and where we were emotionally and psychically, if that's the right word for it. And so the realization that that's gone, and as I get older and things happen, I can't imagine having cancer and going through what Chuck went through and not having him there with me, honestly. So I don't think about it. But and I wasn't actually going to talk about this at all, but it's kind of come up in my own mind. I was talking with a friend last night. I have plans, and I've talked to my kids about it, because conversations like this need to be had, and they may not be easy to have, actually, in my family, because we've been around death and dying so much, both within family and also because I worked in hospice as they were growing up. So really, we've always talked about this kind of stuff, and thankfully it's not difficult for us. But I've had the conversation with the kids, and this is what I was talking about with a friend last night, that I don't even know if I get cancer, if I'm going to go through treatment, because the long-range effects of what chemo and radiation does to the body, we don't hear a lot about that. And I am definitely a fatalist with it. I always just figure, for me, it's been my experience that even if you get through one cancer, that it comes roaring back at some point, somehow, and that's what happened with Chuck. It had been his original cancer did come back again, and then it could have been another kind of cancer too. When I talked with his doctor after his death, his doctor from his first cancer, he really didn't understand what had happened, the track that it had followed, if it had been all his original cancer. And of course there's no way of finding out, and it didn't matter. I wasn't going to have an autopsy done. But so I am fatalistic about it. I get it. But as of right now anyways, I don't plan to go through treatment. ALS, dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, I don't know, you name the disease. Adrian, good morning. You name the disease. My plan is that I'll move to a state that allows assisted death. And my kids are welcome to come and be with me. And then they'll have to go to another room or something, and I'll take care of things myself, because I don't want them being held, to question for anything. But I've done a lot of thinking about that, because, we need to think about that shit, especially as we age. Why leave it on our kids to have to make those really, really hard decisions, and then have guilt or regret afterwards. And the way I have it, as much as I can, the way that I have it planned is that my kids won't have to suffer through any of those questions. The plan will be there. Oh, Adrian, thank you too. I'm not, as much as I can, I'm not leaving anything to chance. Chuck and I spent years, even before his first cancer, talking about, okay, what's going to happen with the one left behind? What are the plans? And we talked finances, and we talked emotions, and everything else. And, you know, did we want each other to find someone again, you know, someone special? We talked about all of that. I wrote things down so that I could just refer to it in a notebook when Chuck died. You know, what do I need to do, especially as far as the military goes? And even with all of that written down, there was a shit ton more that we didn't know about, that we didn't even think to put down. Things change, you know, laws change in the military, benefits change. And so I've found things out as I've traveled, even just from people talking to other veterans and finding Facebook pages, you know, that are geared towards military retired spouses. And I join all of them because I never know what I'm going to learn. And so I've learned some things about benefits that may be available, or benefits that were available but have changed now and are no longer available. And believe me, every year they take away more of the benefits that were promised when you enlist with the military. And they just take away more and more. So Chuck and I did the best we could with it. And even with that, there's been a lot of new stuff. So, yeah, talk about this shit as much as you can with your kids or with your parents. You have to. I don't care if it's hard. Yeah, it's hard. Admit it. It's hard. And now let's go ahead and do it anyways. And if whoever refuses to talk about it, you're doing a great disservice, because you are going to die. I'm going to die. We're all going to die. We're going to get older. Sickness is going to happen. Illness, all of this stuff. And it's not fair. It is just not fair. Never mind the emotions. You remove the emotions from it and you just talk about the shit. Or you have the emotions and you talk about it anyways. Cry your way through it. Rage. It doesn't matter, but just talk about it, because it's not fair to leave people having to figure it out for themselves. So, there's that aspect. And I'm taking care of as much of it as I can with my kids and having that open conversation. Chuck and I talked about the emotions of it, you know, for the one left behind. And, you know, it's easy to talk about intellectually, and even having had all my hospice experience, it was, no, we didn't even touch on it. We didn't even take a speck out of what this is as widowhood. And I say that having gone through the deaths of my mom and my brother back in 1996, 6 months apart, and how that floored me. I mean, it wiped me out, and it took me quite a few years to be able to even feel like I had one foot standing underneath me and that the ground had stopped moving. So even with all of that experience, this widowhood, Chuck wanted me to be able to find somebody else, absolutely, and I hope the same for him, because who doesn't? You know, who doesn't want the one left behind to find peace and satisfaction and be cared for? And at the same time, Chuck, I remember him saying that he really doubted that he'd ever find anybody that could even begin to equal what he and I had together. And there's a lot of, you know, airheads out there as far as women go. And there's a lot of idiots out there as far as men go. I mean, let's be honest, we know that. We know that even before we get married, when we're single and dating. And there's like this sigh of relief when you get married or find a partner that, oh, thank God I don't have to do that anymore. And then your person dies and you're widowed, and you have to face that world all over again, if you choose to. And I've heard the nightmare stories, and yes, I know there's success stories, absolutely. But there's an awful lot of bullshit out there, and there's a lot of bullshit people. I myself can't imagine finding anyone either, and I said that to Chuck, that we were in agreement about that. I was talking to a woman recently who was here. She's part of the opera camp, and she was asking me, had I thought about dating, and was I dating, and what did I think about dating? It was just an interesting conversation, and the thought, I haven't thought about dating. I've thought about having another person in my life to love me, to be in love with me, and to be in love with. But I also, even though it's that concept, it's a concept, I also can't ever imagine that there will ever be anybody who will meet my standards, and I'm not lowering them. I didn't lower them after my divorce from my first husband, and I met Chuck, and I won't lower them now. And I don't care, people used to tell me, oh, you got to be realistic. Well, be realistic so that, an asshole can come into your life? No, not at all. I'm very realistic because I know, good morning, Gloria, I know that at least one man existed who met my expectations and my hopes, and who was real. Like, what I had for 24 years was not some fake, fluffy love story. It was real, solid, hard matter love story. And I will not accept anything less than another love story. And so I told this woman that I know that I'm the kind of woman, oh, I love that, Linda. My beloved told me I would have his blessing to find someone, but he'd better not touch his tools. That's very funny. I told this woman I was talking to that I am an incredibly strong woman, and I'm strong physically, with limits, I get it. But emotionally and mentally, I am very, very strong, and I'm very determined. I use the word determined more than I use strong, because determination carries me through what I don't feel strong enough to do or strong enough for. And it's going to take a very, very strong man to be my partner. And I told her I require a warrior. And I don't necessarily mean that he has to have been in the military. What I mean is that he has to be emotionally strong enough. He has to be confident, not macho, not arrogant, but confident in himself. He has to have a backbone. And he can't be some, wispy floating through life type of thing. He just has to be a warrior. And she really liked that. And I told her too, I know that I know how to be in love. I know how to love a man, and I know how to be in a relationship. And I showed that to myself and to Chuck in our 24 years together. And what that did was show me how much I'm capable of. And I know any other man who walks into my life to be strong enough to be a partner for me, he'll be just that way too. I also don't believe it's ever going to happen. Let's be honest. And then of course you're told, well, you can't compare. Widows are told that. And by widows I mean men and women both. You can't compare them to your person you were in love with who died. And I don't even see how that's actually physically possible, or mentally, or whatever way you want to describe it. How can comparisons not go on? And then you ease into, I guess, and then you ease into the relationship. But let's be real and human. All that shit's going to go on, and if a widower comes into my life, I'm sure as hell sure that he's going to be looking at me and thinking, well, my wife was better this way, or she was better that way. Come on. I think when you're in a widowed relationship, a healthy widowed relationship, that very often now it's not just two people, it's four people. And that's okay. For me, it's all about recognizing and acknowledging that stuff. Sorry, I think I never look in a mirror, and so I do my live feeds, and I swear I see marks on my face that because I use this as a mirror. Anyway, sorry. I think there's 4 people in any new relationship after widowhood. And, or unless, if both people have been widowed. If one of them has not been widowed, then there's at least 3 people. And recognizing and acknowledging that is not a bad thing. But what that means is that you're going to be with an awfully strong person who is very confident in themselves and their love and your love for them, because they're going to see that it does not detract, it does not take away from, it does not diminish the love that the 2 living people have. And there's no room for jealousy. You know, all that bullshit human relationship stuff, and that's the shit that I won't put up with, because Chuck and I never had it. And you know, we had trust in each other, and we had respect for each other, and we didn't name call even when we were fighting. And we spoke respectfully about one another when we were talking with, you know, with our friends and groups of people. You know, we didn't use that chance of, or that opportunity of not being with the other to say, oh yeah, well, the old ball and chain. Chuck never fucking referred to me as the old ball and chain. He never thought of me that way. I never joined in with any women friends with husband bashing or men bashing. I don't believe in that. We just never did that shit. When we got angry, we spoke as much as we could to the issue, but we never made it personal by name calling. It's like, Jesus, you know, every time you name call, you chip away a little bit more at the strength of the marriage until it's just not there. So there's an awful lot that I require if somebody is going to walk into my life and be in my life. And I'm not trading off on any of that. I'm not lowering any of my expectations. And I don't believe that that person exists. How many times do you get the privilege of having a real love story, you know, to be able to live your life that way? And I really do think sometimes that, well, I had mine. I had mine. I had my bad marriage, a really bad marriage, the first one for 10 years. I finally gave him the boot. And then I had this amazing, wonderful love story with a man who loved me more than his own life, and who I loved more than my own life. So, you know, what are the odds of anybody getting that second one? And in some ways, I'm kind of okay with that. I mean, there's nothing okay in my world, and so within that nothing is okay world, I just navigate that. So it's really, as much as oh my God, the loneliness is overwhelming. It hurts. The loneliness is so strong that it becomes a physical and emotional thing, and a mental, and it is a holistic experience, and my skin hurts from not being touched by Chuck. But within my own world, I've just learned to live with that level of longing. I guess maybe that's the best word for it. I don't know. You just learn to carry it, as my widow sister Georgie told me. You get stronger to carry it. And so I just do my best to carry it. And I know I have it's not come to realize, I've kind of had an awakening here at the opera camp this summer. And I've been debating about even talking about this, because I don't really know how to word it where I don't sound totally delusional. And I talked about it a little bit with my kids to see if I sound like a total flake. And they say absolutely not. It happened maybe 2 weeks ago when I walked out of one of the operas, and I thought, oh, you know what? I need to do more with my Odyssey of Love than what I've been doing. I need to go deeper, and I know I've mentioned that in a previous live feed. I need to go deeper. And so that means, for me, how that has translated is, okay, the idea of doing performance art. Hi, Diane. Good morning. Doing a performance art based on my Odyssey of Love. And, you know, having a script and you know, being on stage, you know, and just a couple of props, you know, the whole 9 yards like that. So I've talked to you about that. But here's the thing. It's more than that. It's even deeper than that. What the awareness that came over me is that and this is where, please tell me if you think I'm delusional. I don't feel delusional, but in this world, it can be seen probably as delusional because it's, I don't know. But anyways, I've always known I'm on a mission, right, with my Odyssey of Love. Chuck set me on a mission. A part of that mission has, the beginning parts of it certainly have been carried. I've done them. He asked me to return to our favorite places and scatter his cremains. He named those 4 places. I've been to those 4 places, and I also know it was only to start me out. The rest of it, I've also realized, is not necessarily to scatter his cremains, which I will continue doing, because there are other places I know that he needs to be. But the primary part of him starting me out, okay, I've gotten that done. The bigger part of what he was telling me by setting me out on this mission was that he was hoping that in keeping my heart open to recognize those other places, to scatter his cremains, that would help me to create a new life. Well, what that's done is, I guess, creating this new life has made me aware that there is more to it. It's not just about in creating the life, it's in accepting the responsibility of this Odyssey of Love. You know, I'm one small woman. I'm 5'1". I weigh a little too much, or more than I want to, but I'm one tiny woman on this huge, huge earth, and in this one small country of North America. However, I've made a little bit of a mark because of my Odyssey of Love and all the pink that's around it and the reason for the pink, and I have that story. Bear with me as I'm talking this out. Part of this mission, and I'm just coming to realizations from Chuck right now, that he knew I would do something with this story. He knew that the person I am, the woman I am, it would not be small. He saw what I did after my mom died, was starting the nonprofit in Jersey, Tapestries of Hope, for women grieving the deaths of their moms. So he knew that, of what I'd done. He knew that I would do something bigger, even with this, the story of us, our love story, the love story we had, and now this Odyssey of Love that I'm, with me carrying our love story. And that was part of it too. He was opening it up, giving me that initial mission to open it up, not to just creating a new life for myself without him, but for recognizing what I needed to do to make a mark, to leave a mark. And that, I guess that comes into this part now. I've been aware of the responsibility, you know, going public as I have, in as small a way as it has. Going public carries with it a responsibility. Talking about this love story, I carry the responsibility of our love story for me and Chuck, and I carry a responsibility, the way I see it, to other people in reaching out to them, you know, not for being perfect, actually, definitely not for being perfect, but for being, it is my responsibility to be honest and raw and direct about not just our love story, about this widowhood, about what it's like. And I know that that's what so many of you appreciate about what I write and how I speak. I'm very honest and very direct. So this is actually what, this is a bigger part of what Chuck was talking about. I'm on a mission now. I think what happened the other night after the opera, when realizing, okay, performance art, It's not just performance art. I am on a mission. I am truly, I guess what I'm trying to say here as I'm stumbling about, since that last opera that I saw, I've accepted the responsibility of what my role is in this, which is to truly be a warrior for love. A warrior for love. And okay, you know what? I feel like I've been chosen. I feel like I've been chosen. Like, I can do this. I can do this. You know, I can accept that responsibility. I am comfortable speaking in front of people. I love to write. I'm comfortable being on stage. I have the God. It's not so much passion. It's deeper than that. I can carry this. I can carry this. And I am on. There's another aspect to my mission now to this Odyssey, and my next part in this is to truly carry this story, and to reach out to people in ways that I haven't even thought of before, and I don't know. I haven't yet defined that, and to connect people. And I think back, I was telling my kids this, I think back to the woman who told me back in Northwest Florida. She said, you know, you're so surrounded by angels, and I don't know if you know that, and she said, you are protected. And, you know, I took her words, and they meant a lot to me, but I didn't feel them deeply, maybe is the best way to say it. And I'm not anyone special. I'm just another schmo on the road, right? Except I'm a schmo in pink. But I think I've been chosen to do this, and that's the part where I don't want to, people are going to think that I'm delusional. I don't know any of this, but sometimes you know your vision, you recognize your vision. I've recognized my vision now. I have my vision. And part of that vision is, putting together that performance art to do as many places as I can, and yes, to make a living for myself doing that. But I'm doing it in a real way. I'm not just doing it for showman's sake. I know all of you will know that, because that's not the kind of person I am. I'm doing it because it's a way of connecting and reaching out to more people. But I don't know, there's just this awareness that's growing stronger, even as I'm, as the space beside me is so filled with Chuck's absence, and it's so hard, and I'm so lonely. Even at the same time, it's like there's that part, and equally with that is, this is a responsibility that I'm stepping into to become even bigger and to reach even more people. And I have my vision, and I truly feel like I've been chosen for it, and I'm going to do it. I'm not sure how, other than the performance art, but there's a part of me that, I'm willing to do all the legwork, all the footwork. I work hard and all of that, but even while I'm doing that, for some damn reason, I'm not worried about how I'm going to do it, or like how I'm going to manage financially, or any of that stuff. And it's really kind of strange for me, because I've always been one to worry about money, and I'm not, because I know I'll always make it work, just like I said to Chuck. But this is a deeper realization of it. All I know that I need to do, what I know, is that I just need to continue driving my pink car and towing my pink trailer, eventually driving a pink truck, because at some point I will be sponsored by Ford, and the message will get out to them about who I am and what I'm doing, and the story behind it, and the possibilities for them. I mean, I've basically written their commercials for them with my story. All of that's going to happen. And all I have to do is keep on showing up in pink, sharing my story, my love story, and sharing the story that I have that's included in that about the possibilities that do exist. You know, there are so many possibilities that exist, and it's not by denying anything, it's by taking it all just damn fucking with you. Every, you know, so-called negative feeling, and I hate that people term those any feelings as negative, because there are no negative feelings. There's just emotions at work that just, you know, they are what they are at the moment. And so it's there's other people out there, many other people out there doing this kind of thing, but you know, that's theirs. This is mine. FWG is Ford Tough is exactly right. Exactly right. And I'm going to go out there, and I'm telling you here and now, I'm going to go out there from this little place in the Ozarks, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to light the world on fire to let people know about the possibilities of love. And whether it's for widowed people, and I don't term it as hope, because I don't even know what hope looks like, and hope is it's just words. I don't have hope. I have determination, and maybe determination makes hope happen. I don't know. The emotions I talk about, the terms I have for them are determination and possibilities and grit and saddling up and showing up. Those are the words I think about. The words I was presented with after widowhood, they didn't mean anything to me. They still don't. Hope for what? There's so much that I don't believe will happen for me. I'm focused on what I do believe can happen and will happen, because I have so much fucking determination in me to share this love story and that I had with my beloved husband. And in sharing that, to shine the light for other people that it can happen. It did happen for me. It can happen for anyone. And, you know, for women who are, and men who are in an abusive relationship and they think there's no way out, that was me for 10 years. Alcoholic marriage and abusive marriage. You know, I was one of those smart women who never thought that I could ever be in a... How did I end up getting bitten by my husband? How did I end up getting raped by my husband? Why did I keep getting pregnant? You know, when I knew the situation was bad, why did I keep my kids in a bad marriage? And how did I have the courage to say enough is enough and leave and go on welfare? Because that was actually better than what the situation I was in. And I did all that. It took me 10 years, but I figured out a way. I saw the possibilities. And then one day I heard a knock at the door when I was living with my mom, and I was on welfare, and I'd moved to another state and 3 small children, and oh my God, my life was in such a shambles. I was such a wreck. I was so angry at men. I was so fucking angry at men. But I got it figured out. And all of that stuff, that's what I'm going to present. It's possibilities, right? It is possibilities. So I'm going to go out and present that. And I'm telling you on this day, something big is going to happen, and I'm going to damn sure make it happen. So I've got a lot more thinking to do, but thank you, all of you, for being a part of this and showing up for me, because you're the ones that helped me figure this out in my head, and you get me up every morning. The love that I know all of you have for me, and you're cheering me on, and being honest with me in return, and that means every damn fucking thing. And you don't say stupid shit to me, and all this positive bullshit that I don't want to hear, because it's meaningless. It's meaningless. So I've got a lot more writing to do and thinking and planning and figuring it out. And I will check back in with you here again about all of this as you help me flesh it out. But I know I've been chosen, and I'm accepting that responsibility, and I'm accepting from Chuck that further part, that further aspect of this odyssey of love. This is scattering the cremains his cremains was a means to coming to this realization. Coming to this realization. This is what he was hoping for. It's this part, that it would lead me into this. And I'm not going to go forth and happy fucking dance, dancing feet, cheery and all of this. I'm accepting this mission, this part of this mission of this odyssey. Sounds like Mission Impossible now, huh? But yeah, this part of it, I'm not accepting it with all of that. I'm accepting this in a real way. And there's lots of tears, maybe even more tears, and I'll always be raw and honest and direct with you, and I'll never hide anything. And I will carry this mission through, and I'll continue this odyssey of love, and I'll do my performance art, and I'll talk about the possibilities of love in a way that I have never talked about it before. And I'm going to do it in more pink than I've ever done it before. And yeah, this is what Chuck meant. This is what he intended. That if I have to go out and live a life without him, and I do, then it has to, for me, it has to at least equal what I had with him for 24 years. And that was spectacular. And so this next part can be nothing but spectacular and up from there. And so I'm embracing this aspect of it. And I'm inviting all of you along for this part of the ride, because you're going to see things happen. You're going to see things happen. And all right, I'm going to get going with my day and see if I can get some mowing done and things like that, and I'll check in with you again and have the day you're going to have, every one of you. Good, bad, or indifferent. It's all a part of the days, right? And I love all of you too, in a very real way, because you just keep showing up for me. So I will talk with you very soon, okay? Ti amo.